of Arms.
Hey guys, Corey here with Code of Arms TV, and today we have got the Crusader Arms PND, also known as the Pump and Dump. Now, before we get into the specifics about the PND, first we must talk a little bit about politics, and I know I'm not a big fan of politics either, but in this case, it's a necessary evil. Back in April of 2025, the Crusader Arms crypto rifle, which was a semi-automatic rifle with a proprietary magazine, built to meet the specifications of C21, was sadly prohibited by the way of FRT, and since has been a whole world of hurt for a lot of firearms owners across Canada. With that decision that was made, it left a lot of people uncertain, frustrated, and unsure where to go next. I think Crusader Arms as well. So in the spirit of wanting to move past that, Crusader Arms had come to market with the PND, which is a manually operated pump action and side charging action rifle that allows familiar function to sport shooters everywhere, all while making this completely different than the Crusader Arms Crypto. How might you ask? Right out the gate, you'll see here, this is not a lower and an upper. This is a one-piece receiver. And it's not traditional in its makeup. It's actually a clamshell receiver, where the front piece comes off as a plate and all the internals are housed inside the other side. So with it not being a semi-automatic and it not being familiar with an upper and a lower to what a lot of us are familiar with, what might be compatible with the PND that we still are familiar with? So in the aftermarket products for, ARs, you've got the forend, which would need to be modified because there's a slot here for the pump mechanism. But effectively the forend would be compatible if it was modified to accommodate the slot. In addition to that, you've got your muzzle device, bird cage, flash hider, muzzle brake, also compatible. AR-15 barrels, also compatible. You also got your grip, you've got your mag release, you've got your bolt catch, compatible. You've got your stock, which is compatible. And for a magazine, it does accept Stanag magazines. Also the proprietary Crusader Arms magazine as well. Now, what makes it also unique and exciting with all this doom and gloom we've got hanging over our heads here in Canada with the restrictions, because it's a manually operated firearm, there is no mag restriction. So this was built to also accept the BCL Bison magazine, which many of you are familiar with as being a 20-round magazine, which is great because it's pump action. We don't have those restrictions. Now, what are some of the highlights of the rifle itself? Are the fact that it has a lot of QD mounts. It's got 2 on either side of the stock, 2 on the back side of the handguard, 2 on the front side of the handguard, and 1 on the front underside of the handguard. Now, in addition to that, you've got a ton of M-LOK slots on either side of the handguard and 3 positions in addition underneath the handguard. And then the rifle also has this 45-degree foregrip that attaches to a pick rail. It's about a 3.5-inch pick rail up front, which is your pump mechanism. Now you can replace this 40-degree offset grip that comes with the rifle and put a standard foregrip on it. You can put the little stubby ones on it, whatever you want in the aftermarket that mounts to a pick rail, you can put it on as your pump mechanism, which in my opinion is really convenient, and it gives people the functionality that it is that they're looking for. Now, aside from that, like you're all familiar with, you got full length of pull. I do know that on some of the other rifles that are on the market in pump action configuration, you don't have the luxury of having that length of pull adjustment, which has been frustrating for a lot of users, I know. Now, if you look on the side of the rifle, you'll see that there's a charging handle here. It's also capable of operating like a side charger or a straight pull. However, you can also unscrew the charging handle and not operate it, only operate it as a pump if you think this gets in the way or if it's not something you use. Where I found it extremely beneficial is when I was shooting prone, and instead of having to be able to pump it while I was on the ground, it was much easier for me to charge it from the side. Now, a lot of people will find this familiar like a pump action shotgun, which in ways it is, but in how you operate it isn't, because this rifle will not lock when you close it. So with a pump action shotgun, you pump it, you rack a round into the chamber, and then in order to open it, you either have to pull the trigger or release the lock in order to be able to rack it back open again. Now with the PND, when there's a round in the chamber, you don't have to pull the trigger. You could effectively pull it back because it isn't locked and be able to clear that round from the chamber. So what does that mean exactly for the user? For me, what I found is you need to understand how to function this. As an operator, you need to make sure you're not introducing operator errors. So when you're racking forward, you want to maintain forward pressure on the pump. If you try to pull it back into your shoulder with your forehand instead of your grip, you could potentially introduce, as an operator, a stoppage, which again, as an operator of a new platform, you just got to understand how it functions. Once you get the hang of it, you could run this thing like a dream. Now, what I will say is that this thing really likes when you run it like it owes you money. You run it hard, you want to keep it tight into your shoulder, but pulling back from the grip portion here, not from the pump up here. Because if you see, when I'm pulling back here, I'm taking the gun out of battery. And a gun out of battery is going to lead to a click, not a bang. So what comes in the box? You've got the rifle. You're going to have a Crusader Arms magazine with 5 rounds on either end. You're also going to have a mini stop and the hardware to be able to mount it to your rifle. And it also comes with the side charging handle. Now, at the time of the release of this video, rifles will have already been shipping and should be at some of your local retailers. If they are not, reach out to them and inquire. And price point for this is a very competitive $12.99. So you can't go wrong in that price range. Has functionality with a bunch of different mags. What have I noticed are some of the benefits to the PND in comparison to some of the other rifles that I shot in the market in its class. Weight, it's coming in at 7.2 pounds. Fit, I mean, everything is exactly where I want it to be and need it to be, and it's familiar, being the most important. The aftermarket compatibility right down to the trigger, for me, is always of the utmost importance. Those right out the gate would be the edge for me in regards to what I would want to use in, let's say, a sport shooting configuration. The rifle's receiver comes hard anodized black. The AR-15 bolt is also compatible, although the bolt carrier is not. The rifle itself has a full flat top upper, so you've got a full pick rail from front to back, really making it easy to mount your optics and any other accessories that you need. I have a fair amount of rounds through this rifle already, and I'm looking forward to get out and shooting some more. My next task will be to take it out and compete with it at the Niagara Regional 3 gun. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this overview and release of the Crusader Arms PND pump and dump rifle. And I'm looking forward to bringing some new videos to the channel. We've got a bunch of stuff queued up. During some dark times here in the Canadian politics, it's really nice to see new firearms being introduced to the market. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving us a like, subscribing, or leaving us a comment. We want to hear what you guys have to say. I'm curious to see what your thoughts are on the Crusader Arms PND. If you like what you see, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss out. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and as always, leave us a comment. We want to hear what you have to say. If you want to support us, you can go to coatofarmstv.com for all of our latest apparel. This is Coat of Arms.